adopted from St. Petersburg, Russia, baby home 13, and my parents went through IAG, which is International Assistance Group. So even though I was from St. Petersburg, Russia, I am actually not Russian at all because I did a 23andMe, and I am Portuguese and Belarus. So that's pretty much all I know. I kind of grew up always knowing I was adopted. My parents really were always open about that. They always wanted to kind of immerse me in the culture and make sure I knew where I came from. So basically, they flew over with 2 other families, and it was a long flight. Then they had to take a train that randomly stopped in the Russian countryside, like pitch dark outside. There was a lot of language barriers too, but one of the stipulations of adopting a Russian child was that you had to go and kind of learn about the culture. So you would go sightseeing, you would go to museums, you would go to kind of the major landmarks in Moscow and St. Petersburg. I always knew I was adopted. My mom would always, I guess it's just I kind of grew up always hearing about it, so I always knew. I know one of the other boys I was adopted with, his dad let it slip in the car whenever he was 13, and his mom was like, well, great, Rick, now he knows. But I kind of always grew up knowing. It was always something I was so proud of and that I loved talking about, and anytime we had a project in school, I would somehow incorporate my adoption story into it. My name was Albina Cabrera, and my parents didn't legally keep Albina. That means bright. The people in the baby home said that my birth mom gave me that name, but they told my parents that right off the get-go I knew what I want. There are a ton of people actually in this area who are adopted from Russia. I actually ran into a girl at the Stone. She was a friend of a friend, so she was talking about how she was from baby home 12, and we were adopted from through the same agency the same year. So it's kind of cool. You never really expect anyone to be adopted, but I know probably at least 10 or 12 people that I still keep in contact with who are either from my agency or a different agency but from the same area. So it's cool. We're a tight-knit group. I have always been told that I have my mom's curly hair, that I have my dad's eyes. Like, people always tell me that I look like my parents. So my mom even said that the agency she went through was pretty good at matching up babies to their parents so that they looked alike. And I mean, that's not what adoption's all about, but I look pretty much exactly like my parents, so no one ever believes that I'm adopted. I think I'm a good example of how you could be raised by certain people, but kind of be your own person, like genetically predisposed, I guess you could say, because my mom always told me I had a Russian temper. So me and my mom, I'm the closest with my mom, and I feel like that's why I'm her exact opposite. Like, we're foils of each other. So she's super quiet and sweet and like generous. She would do anything for anyone, and I kind of retained those qualities from her, of being like compassionate and loving, but I'm very like outgoing and social and loud and confrontational at times. So I would say me and my mom like contrast each other. In the summers, whenever I was little, I would go to Fox Chapel Park, I believe it's called, and we would have like picnics and gatherings. The agency tries to get all the kids together so that you kind of have people you can relate to, which is really nice. We have like a community. A lot of times to these events we'll bring presents and like things for children in need who are in Russia, because they'll send them over. My agency was actually really good in the sense that they would send nurses over from Pittsburgh to educate the caretakers in Russia so that they knew how to care for the newborn babies. The stuff in the summer will have picnics, and they have like face painting and jungle gyms. It was always so fun. And then in the winter we would have like I forget what it was called. It was like a white Christmas party, and it was very formal, and it would be at a banquet center, and there would be like basically prom for a bunch of Russian kids. Like, you would dress up super nice, and you would get a really nice dinner and dance all night, and Yeah, our agency was really nice because they kept everyone kind of in touch. The reason that I would like to adopt in the future is because I'm adopted, because I'd love to have children of my own, but the way that I see it, like my birth mom was 14, so there was no way that she could have cared for me. Her parents kind of told her, you can stay with us or the baby can stay with us, but we can't support both of you. So she made the incredibly generous decision to give me up for adoption, and I have all the opportunities that I do today because of her. So not only does it take courage to give a baby, but to also take one in. My parents went through grueling months and hardships to get me, but yeah, I would want to give a child the same opportunity that I've gotten, so I definitely would adopt.